I'm Stacy Grinsfelder.
And I'm Daniel Cantor.
And you're listening to True Tales from Old Houses, the mini-sode. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Stacy. How you doing?
Good. I was thinking the other day that this is the first season, I think, that we've done a mini-sode and a regular episode every single week for the whole season. And I'm enjoying it. I like the consistency of having a show every week. I like seeing you, of course, and I like interacting with our listeners a lot more, getting a lot more emails and just comments and things on social media. So it's been a good season so far.
I'm so glad you did, because I agree. I think it's been super fun. I love doing the mini-sodes and regulars as well, of course.
Yes. I guess we could call this the catch-up mini-sode, but before we launch right into all of that, I do want to thank our sponsors, The Window Course by Scott Seidler of the Craftsman blog and Sutherland Wells. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you, you guys. Also, expertly handled segue, Stacy.
Oh, I thank you. Thank you. I'm getting there. We're becoming professionals here. But I wanted to mention, too, that we talk in these episodes a lot about our sponsors and their coupon codes. And there is a sponsor page on the website. So if you're ever thinking, I don't remember what the coupon code is, and you want to use it, it's on the website. It's also always in our show notes on whatever podcast player you're using to listen to this episode.
Beautiful. Do you know what the link to the website is offhand?
I do not. Okay. I do not. But I can tell you that it's at the top right hand of the homepage. It says sponsors. It's an actual button. You just click on it and it'll take you right to that page.
Beautiful. And just so listeners know, those coupon codes is how sponsors gauge the success of their sponsorship. So if you want to support a podcast and their sponsors, really do use those codes because it helps everyone.
That's correct. And one of our sponsors is a service, not a product. And so we have a special landing page. That company sponsors our bigger episodes, the what do we call those? The mini-sodes? The
I privately call them maxi-sodes, but that sounds...
It does sound a little...
They have wings.
Yes. But those bigger episodes. So yes, there is a landing page through one of our sponsors. So if you're inquiring about his services, then please do use that landing page as well. So yeah, just to get that out of the way. I also have one other quick announcement. Again, taking up time here in the mini-sode, but I wanted to announce the winner of the book giveaway. Do you remember the book A House Restored by Lee McColgan?
Of course,
we gave that book away, signed copy.
Read it cover to cover.
Yep. The winner is Carrie Spritzer, and I just wanted to say congratulations, Carrie, and I hope you love the book.
Carrie, enjoy. Congrats. And that's a signed copy too, right?
It is a signed copy. Yes,
okay,
it is.
Yeah. So treat it right. I don't know.
All right. So updates. We have updates today. What kind of updates can you give us? Do you want to start? Yours are probably the most epic at this point.
I mean, I can't say that, but I can say I do listen to our show, which feels so amazingly narcissistic while I'm doing it, but it's mostly just so I know what we talked about and also what actually made it, because we do cut stuff. So I was realizing there's kind of a lot of things that I'm very fond of just sort of throwing in and then never talking about again. So I keep a running list, and I'm like, maybe we should just sort of pack them in.
Do we use corporate speak and say, let's circle back to those? Is that what we say?
Per my last email, let's circle back to this.
Let's circle back.
So I just have like a couple really quick ones. One of them from this fresh breaking news that won't be when this comes out, but one of the podcasts that I really enjoy is called My Favorite Murder. It is not a G-rated podcast. Don't listen with your kids unless they're spooky too. But they just released an episode on the Halifax explosion. And for about an hour, they talk in detail about the Halifax explosion and the major people involved, and they're comedians, so it's a fun listen.
Okay, and I want to clarify that the Halifax explosion was my ongoing fascination, I don't know, from a few seasons, honestly, and I visited the area, Halifax, last year, kind of the culmination of that history. I didn't do a very good job explaining that. Maybe I should try again. For a few seasons, I was really into the Halifax explosion. it was just an interest of mine, and it spurred a bunch of other stories about the Christmas tree for Boston and this and that. And I did not do a whole episode on it, so I'm going to go listen to that, and
Yeah.
I'll put that in the show notes. That sounds like a really fun way to learn the actual history instead of just hearing me be interested in it and talk about it for several seasons.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. I learned a few new things about it and enjoyed it. Okay, so that was one update.
Okay.
I mentioned quite a while ago there was a house that I brought up a few different times on the show, I think always during announcements, that the Kingston City Land Bank was selling as is, which is a very rare thing for that organization to do. Really beautiful Victorian house that needed saving. And so my update is, I can't remember if I already said this, but we did find a buyer, young local couple. Basically couldn't have written this bid better if I tried. It was just like, wow, okay, they're perfect. Sounds great. And so I can now report they are well into the restoration of this house. They are doing such a good job. I'm like so happy and proud of them, even though I don't really know them, but sometimes they call me for information and things. And it's lovely to be in the background providing whatever support I can. But they're really doing such a beautiful job, and I'm really, really happy for them. So we can all rest easy that that house is in excellent hands and getting the care it needs.
That's a happy update.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. I'm so glad you have a list, by the way. So the structure of our podcast is that I don't know. What do? I push all the buttons to make sure that the sound is good and everything's working. And so oftentimes I don't remember what we talked about either.
Yeah.
But by the time I've edited a show, I've heard it in little tiny bits and pieces probably 5 or 6 times. So I don't hear it the same way that you do when you listen to it as you're working.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this is like effectively a phone call, and then I hear the phone call again. I don't do anything hard in between. It's awesome. Okay. And then I had an update from you, which I have a sort of related update from me.
Okay.
Remember that time, and I don't remember when it was, but you brought up offhandedly, someday I'll tell you the story of how I flooded my basement like a week after I bought my house or something to that effect.
Oh,
I would like to hear this story. You might notice a theme here too, where I love any story where like Stacy kind of screwed up, possibly because it just makes me feel so much better about myself.
Well, what makes you think that I don't screw up it, but I just don't tell people about it? Maybe I screw up all the time. What do you think?
I don't know. You just seem so together.
So together. All right. Well, let me tell you the story of our basement. It's not a huge story, but the previous owner, her name was Dorothy. We've talked about that before. She lived in this house for many years with just her husband. They did not have kids. And I think he preceded her in death by maybe about 12 or 15 years. So she truly was living here all alone for an extended period of time.
Wow.
And there were no showers in this house. There was no washing machine, nothing like that. It was just, we did have a bathtub, and then there was, I take that back. There was a shower.
The basement shower.
I know. There is a basement shower, but it happened to have an electrical junction box in it.
Right. So dangerous.
So dangerous. I did find out that she used that all the time. That was what she used, to keep herself clean. So what happened was, as an individual who probably took, I don't know, I'm going to be generous and say 2 or 3 showers a week. All right. When you get to be 90, you get to take as many. Yeah. You don't need that many showers. Okay. So maybe she was taking that many. No washer dryer, no dishwasher or anything like that. So we moved into the house.
No washer dryer.
No washer or dryer. She did her wash at the laundromat, and then she brought it home and hung it out on a line on the sleeping porch right outside of the primary bedroom. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, when Andy and I made our offer on this house, we were laying in bed that night. I said to him, "Did you happen to see a laundry hookup?" And he's like, no, maybe it's in the basement. Well, there was no laundry hookup here. So we had to put one of those in. But our family, 6 people, right? So we had 2 teenagers at that time, a tween, a kid, and then Andy and I. And by the time we moved in, we were taking 6 baths a day because we didn't have showers. There was lots of toilet flushing, there was tons of dishwashing, laundry, and within the first week, the basement flooded. And I went downstairs and it was horrifying because you have that moment when you realize that it's not just water,
Right.
it's sewer and
Yes.
it's in your basement. And
Yes.
it was horrible, absolutely horrible. So I had to go down there. Long story why I was the person who had to do it. But anyway, I had rubber boots and a squeegee and some bleach, and there was not enough bleach in the world to make that go away. And
No.
it just turns out that the line between the house and the street, we're on city sewer, had probably been clogged forever.
Right.
But
Right.
because there was so little water going through it, whenever it would hit that blockage, it would just eventually seep into the ground. No big
Right.
deal. But we really challenged the system. So every year now I have that line maintained from the house to the street because we have a giant tree with tree roots. And yeah, that's my story. It's gross, but it happened so fast when we moved in. And I remember thinking, oh, this is just
Here we
the
go.
beginning. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's really funny because maybe this is like a common thing we should warn people about because I had pretty much the exact same thing happen to
Oh,
me, except the exit point was a toilet. So I wrote about this on my blog a million years ago, but how gross can we make this? Because it's pretty gross.
well, I would say the exit point was also one of our toilets, the basement toilet.
Okay.
So I hesitate to get too gross. I don't know.
What if I throw some information out and you can connect the dots together?
There you go. Let's do that.
It might still be too gross, but it's reality. So, what happened was the previous owner of my home passed away in the bathtub,
Oh,
and he lived alone. As far as I know, natural causes, he was very old. But it took a little while for the body to be found. And so, consequently, my understanding is he basically was in this tub for a little while.
oh, that's so sad.
It is sad. There is some kind of New York State protocol for when this happens before you can then put a house up for sale. Like
Sure.
a certain level of cleaning or something.
Right.
I'm not sure if that wasn't done, but I will say that tub was clogged when I bought the house.
Oh
There was
my.
standing water in that tub. So I'm not going to say I know why, but I think we have a decent guess. And
Oh
I
boy.
just didn't think that much about it. And then it was the same kind of thing where I remember my ex was up in the shower. We were running a load of laundry. The laundry was draining. And maybe somebody flushed the toilet. I don't even think so. And all of a sudden, just like a geyser comes out of one of the toilets in
Oh
that same
no.
bathroom. And it was so shortly after I had bought the house, I didn't even own a shop vac.
I didn't either. I had to go buy one for this.
Me too.
Yes.
I ran to the store, bought it, and like all the instructions and everything are in the inside of the canister. I didn't even open it. Like, so all that stuff got ruined. And I was so freaked out because all I really knew is okay, wood floor floods and then it buckles and
Right.
comes apart and my house is ruined. And so I was super rushing to get that water cleaned up and I did and it was okay, but it was very very gross. Very
Oh,
gross.
yeah. True Tales from Old Houses is supported by the Window Course. The Window Course is created by our friend Scott Seidler of the Craftsman blog, and it is a step by step do it yourself program that will teach you everything you need to know to successfully restore your wood windows. It's self paced, so you can go as fast or as slow as you need, and there are also several price points to fit your needs and budget.
It's window season. It is the perfect time to get ready to restore the windows at your house, and the window course has all the information that you need all in one place. And Scott is even offering his students a special deal. So if you sign up for the lifetime access package or the training package, you'll also get a free infrared paint remover, which is a $100 value.
The window course comes with a money-back guarantee, and lucky for us, Scott is offering True Tales from Old Houses listeners a special discount. For 10% off, visit thewindowcourse.com and use the coupon code TrueTales. True Tales from Old Houses is also supported by Sutherland Wells. All of Sutherland Wells products are handcrafted in Providence, Rhode Island, with the highest quality, sustainably grown tung oil. Tung oil, native to China, has been used for centuries as a durable finish for wood, metal, and stone.
Now, you could be basic and grab yourself a can of polyurethane, but we want better for you. And tung oil finish is that. It penetrates the surface of the wood, so it flexes and contracts as the conditions change. That makes it the perfect pre-finish or protectant for everything from fine furniture to window sash and sills.
I've been lucky enough to try many of their products: Millie's, Murdoch's, Clarabelle's, Slicky Wicky, now their furniture polish. I love seeing everyone's projects on Instagram, knowing that the word about Sutherland Wells is spreading. Now, whatever those projects might be, siding, hardwood floors, furniture restoration, cutting boards, there is a tung oil product from Sutherland Wells that's just right for you.
So to learn more about the complete product line, visit Sutherland Wells, that's WELLES, sutherlandwells.com. And to save 10% on your first order, use that coupon code TrueTales. I actually have an entirely different basement. That wasn't really the basement. That was more the first floor. Stuff kind of dripped through. But the basement, okay, it kind of is an update because I said something in an earlier episode about how my basement recently has been getting some water in it. And I was a little puzzled about why. And
Okay, I'll allow it.
okay. No, this is interesting, I think. I don't know why this has been happening. I've been concerned in that way of like, let's not think about it too hard right now. Like, what is going on with the drainage, with the gutters, with the grading of soil around foundation? Like, I don't know. My foundation needs to be repointed. Like, it could be a bunch of things.
Sure.
But I finally figured out what it was, and it is super weird, and I've never really heard of this. So right outside my back door, actually under like the stoop of the back door, there's about 1.5 by 1.5 hole in the ground that is surrounded by concrete, little maybe foot off the ground, and it goes into a pit of despair. I don't know how big this pit is. I don't really know anything about this pit, but some research told me that this pit is a cistern.
I was just going to ask you if it's a cistern.
Because I have also found my well. It's long abandoned, buried, filled in, but I know where it is located, so I don't think this is a well. I think this is a cistern. And for years, it had a piece of plywood over this hole, and I just didn't think about it too hard. And then finally it struck me, oh my goodness, I bet that plywood just rotted away, and now every time it rains, water goes into the cistern and then is like seeping through the foundation. My pantry and I think part of my half bathroom maybe, and I think part of my kitchen are all basically built on top of this cistern. So imagine this thing is like 12 feet down or so.
Okay.
And then there's maybe like 4 to 6 feet of dirt on top of some sort of ceiling that is creating this like cavern.
Wow.
Is that the weirdest thing ever?
That is really strange. So that's where the water, so the cistern is now leaking, I guess, just little bits of water.
So it goes on. What I think is happening is that this thing that has been basically dry forever has actually been taking on a ton of water, but it's just sitting there and it still seems to operate as a cistern. So for the last decade, there have been 2 pipes that come out of the floor in my basement. I'm pretty sure they're old lead pipes. They're a little flexible like that. And one is cut off about 1.5 feet from the floor, and one sort of bends up in this weird way and is sort of like attached to the foundation wall. And so last time we had a really heavy rain, I went down there and just observed. And I finally see there's water coming out from right behind that little pipe that's cut off near the floor. And it looks like it's coming through the foundation wall. You can tell somebody tried to patch this at some point with old cement. So, like, I think I figured this out, right? a few days ago, I'm like, I pick up a new thing of hydraulic cement. I'm like, this is my best solution right now. And I also ordered a scope, like a camera scope.
Oh, those are fun. I have one of those.
It seemed fun. I don't know if I cheaped out and it got what I paid for, or if this is just not the right application, but I tried. I couldn't see anything. I was really bummed because I really wanted to see like what is down there. And I could fit down there, but it's so gross and scary.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen.
And you don't want to do that by yourself anyway. You want to make sure you have a buddy there whenever that happens.
Yeah, but I just don't want to do it, period. So I'm like, okay, I can just chip off some of this concrete that's failing, patch it up with some new hydraulic cement. It's going to be fine. This will take 20 minutes. Let me just take care of this before it rains a bunch. Stacy, to get to the part of the foundation that I thought was leaking, it's behind this pipe that's like hugging the wall, and the pipe doesn't do anything. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I take my angle grinder and I start cutting it close to the floor. Oh my God, so much water. So much water starts coming out of this pipe that hasn't been used for 100 years at least.
Oh, no.
And now my basement is actively flooding.
Right.
I have a stock tank pool, so I do own a little transfer pump just to empty the pool at the end of the season, basically. So I run and I grab this pump and it starts going, and there's all this water coming in, and then after like 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is really not keeping up with the water. Turns out it stopped working. So I run to Harbor Freight, not literally, get in my car, get the new transfer pump that's exactly the same as the old transfer pump and get that going. And I did some like math and timing and all this stuff. I am almost certain I pumped roughly 600 gallons of water out of my basement.
600 gallons of water.
Uh-huh. That, I guess, was just sort of sitting in this cistern. So the last, like, maybe 100 gallons, no more, like almost 200 gallons, I got out by using my shop vac to vacuum out the pipe. So there wasn't water coming out of it anymore. It was sort of like when you go to replace a toilet and you vacuum out the what's left in the bowl. And so I think that because of that, now the water is safely well below the line where it's going to come back into the house. And I've patched over the hole with a new piece of plywood with ice and water shield on it.
Oh my goodness.
So I think I've solved my problem. And now I'm like, how do I effectively clean this disgusting basement floor that's been sort of like repeatedly flooding for the last year or so?
Well, bleach. That's my suggestion. A squeegee and bleach. Yes, but wear some rubber boots.
Yeah, and a scrub brush. And I was thinking just a lot of scrubbing, and then we vacuum and pump it out.
I think you're right.
But isn't that nuts?
That is nuts.
A cistern. I have an entire other stock tank pool under my house because the stock tank pool is 700 gallons.
And you had 600 gallons in your cistern.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Just hanging out under my pantry.
Yeah. Who knew?
Like, I think my house is built on buoyancy or something.
Yeah.
I don't understand how structurally this can work, but
it's on pontoons. You just didn't know. All this time
Yes.
you had a pontoon house.
I was like, if I drain this, is my pantry gonna fall off the house for some reason? But so far it's been okay.
Well, all I can think is thank goodness you didn't go through the floor anywhere, because you would have needed some water wings, sounds like.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a dramatic thing that happened a few days ago. It was just like,
that is
really
really
I'm
wild.
sick, so I'm like,
yeah, no fun at all.
It was gross.
No fun at all.
So hopefully I never have to deal with that again. But
right, definitely.
I guess the smart thing would probably be to like pump concrete until it stops and just fill it in. But who even knows how much concrete that could take?
I don't know.
It's none of my business. But I do think, I'll admit, the thought passed my mind of like, well, I don't want to do that because what if I need it someday?
Right. Your
Like,
cistern.
If the apocalypse comes,
right.
this would actually be really handy.
Yeah. Well,
so-
these old houses do feel sort of pioneer ready or apocalypse ready. And I'm with
Right.
you, I'll find something and I'll think, oh, well, surely they did that for a reason. So maybe I should just leave it.
Yeah. And just the fact that it's still pretty operational. So I think what I decided is that longer pipe that goes about 2/3 of the way up the foundation wall. I think that was there so they could check the water level
Yeah,
of
could
the
be.
cistern, and then the other one is what actually fed water.
Could it have also been an air draw too, so that the actual water flowed?
I was thinking about that too, but I'm not, it's not like the thing underground is like super water or airtight or
Airtight.
anything.
Yeah.
So, because
Who
they
knows?
must have also had a way for the water to get in. So, in
Sure.
theory, there was some kind of like situation. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Why would I pretend to know? But it was kind of a cool thing of like after 10 years in this house and just sort of like glancing at these things, but never really giving it too much thought to like really learn like how that worked, what it is,
Mhm.
why I need to keep an eye on it, Daniel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was fun.
So that is pretty wild, very unexpected.
Like I just can't believe there was that much water down there. But anyway, have you had any fun surprises lately?
I have had fun surprises. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because we had a tornado watch. Now, anybody
I
who lives in tornado
know.
oh, you heard about it. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
was like, our lake house is gonna just blow to the
Blow
ground.
away. Yeah.
It's very
So
bad.
yeah, it's just going to flop right over.
Uh-huh.
So a warning, I'm going to get this backwards. I can tell you right now I'm going to get this backwards, but just know it's either one way or or flip it and it'll be right. So one of them means that the conditions are right for a tornado to form, and the other one means that we've actually seen a tornado and it's in your area. So I get
Oh.
this emergency alarm on my phone, and I've gotten one of those before, and usually it's followed immediately with a, oops, that was an accident. Sorry
Hmm.
about that, because it really wasn't a bad weather day for us. And my daughter and I were at home and we got this message and I looked at it and I thought, well, okay. And I waited for a couple minutes for the inevitable oops message that followed, and it didn't. And it was, there is a tornado on the ground, go to your basement immediately, go to an inner room, a windowless room, the
Whoa.
safest place, get out of your car, go into a building. I mean, it was very, very direct. And my daughter
Yeah.
came down the stairs because she got the same notification on her cell phone. And she said, did you get this? And I said, yeah. I said, I think we should do it. I said, I don't see
Yeah.
any weather, but let's do it. So we got Millie on her leash and we went down to the basement. Millie's not allowed in the basement. So I actually had to kind of coax her down there. And then we sat in these lawn chairs in that disgusting basement bathroom where I had to look at that gross toilet, the one that was the access point for
Yes.
a disaster. And we sat there. Millie was fine. She was great. She just like laid on the floor and was like, oh, cool. We get to stay in the basement now. I mean, she's such a chill dog. She has no concerns whatsoever. And so it was about 10 after 1, and I would kind of peek out the door. And my basement does have windows, and I couldn't see anything. So, but less than a mile away, one of my friends texted me and he said, I was just at Tim Hortons and he had gotten
Hmm.
some coffee and he said, the hail is so loud that I can't even hear the radio. He wasn't texting from his car,
Wow.
but he was, pulled over or something. And I looked out the window. We have no hail. This is less than a mile away from me. There's
Yeah.
no hail. We did have some rain, but nothing that I heard significantly. So I think the warning was supposed to go till 1:15. About 10 after, I said, you know what? Let's just go back upstairs. I think we're fine. We went back upstairs and then we got another warning that it extended to 1:45. And just as I walked outside, then the wind started to pick up. And I said, okay, we got to go. Let's go back down. So sure enough, we get Millie on her leash. We traipse down there and set up our little chairs and just wait. And we got rain and we got a little bit of wind, but there was an actual tornado. It was slightly southwest of me, traveling northeast. It was less than a mile away, maybe a mile away. And this town is surrounded by farmland, and woods. And I think maybe a couple of people's barn roofs were peeled away or some shingle damage, some trees knocked over. But other than that, everybody was fine. But it was such a surprise because that is just not something that happens here.
Yeah. Well, and you guys, I don't know if you felt it where you were, but you had a earthquake like not that long ago too.
Oh, you're right. We did. We did.
So
Yeah.
extreme things are happening in the Buffalo Niagara region.
Wildfires in Canada. Yeah, we had an earthquake, tornado, and yeah, snow. We got lots of snow. But yeah, interesting times. Interesting
Yeah.
times. So yeah, that was my unusual situation.
I'm glad everything's okay. Yeah, Brad sent me a news video of somebody's just like entire roof getting torn off by this thing. So, ooh, scary.
Well, how people are. So many of my friends were texting me like, I'm standing out on the porch. I'm looking outside. I was like, you
Yeah,
guys, get inside. What is wrong with you?
I know. I would totally be out on my porch.
Oh, I really wanted to, but I felt like I needed to set a good example. So I did.
Yeah, I mean, I think you handled it perfectly.
It seemed like the right thing to do. But we discovered that our emergency response system is pretty weak. My daughter grabbed some flip-flops, I think, to wear in the basement. And we got down there and we're like, wow, we don't have any water down here. We don't have any
Right.
food down here. I said, I think I have like maybe a bottle of vodka that I use to clean. Like I don't even drink. I just have a bottle of vodka down there. I'm like, well, I guess if things get really bad, we can hit the vodka. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was just, we realized that.
Dehydrate yourself further and you're
Yes,
drunk.
yes. We realized that our emergency plan could have been a little more solid.
Well, I mean, my mother years ago sent me and my siblings like this big duffel bag that's just stuffed of like
A
emergent
go
like
bag.
if
We call those a go bag.
yeah, it's a go bag and like, you
Yeah.
know, if all fails, I have my Mylar blankets and weird dehydrated space food
And your cistern.
and my sister. And like I am super duper prepared for the apocalypse,
Well,
brag.
definitely.
And enough building material to just really
To rebuild.
see me through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm coming to your house if there's a problem.
Please do. We'll hang. It'll be fun.
All right, so we're almost out of time. Do you have any more updates? The next mini-sode might
I
also have to be
know.
the circle back episode. But
What
have you got?
with it? I do have one just lovely thing, which is I think on our last mini-sode I mentioned toward the end of the episode that a follower of mine and evidently Stacy's and I'm sure other people passed away very young and
Yeah.
very unexpectedly, and it was really, really sad. The reason that I knew about that was because apparently she had actually left a note saying that she wanted me of all people, to have one of her collections, which was described over
Wow.
email as, yeah, I mean, what a humbling, it's just, wow.
Sure.
So kind. And so these were described over email as a collection of jelly jars, and I'm sort of like, okay, like I don't know what really that means. I'm sort of thinking it's a whole collection of like old mason jars or something, which
Right.
whatever it is, I'm, honored to have, but I'm also a little confused. So today I received this huge box, and this is not at all what I was thinking. They are absolutely beautiful. I Google lensed them, admittedly, so I knew what I was talking about. They're Japanese hand-blown glass canisters from, I think, the 60s. They're called Takahashi. They're these glass canisters with these really pretty glass lids. The colors are like, there's orange and there's like a really great cobalt blue one and a really great yellow one and red.
Wow.
And they're so beautiful. And I'm just, yeah, I was in no way expecting that to arrive, but they're really gorgeous. I really will cherish them. I don't think I've ever seen these like out in the wild, but now that I know what I'm looking for, maybe I'll be able to add to the collection. So anyway, it was just for a horrible, horrible thing that happened. It meant very much to me that I would have been anywhere in her mind during that period, but also that she knew I would love these, and I absolutely do. They're really special. So thank you, Allie.
What a sweet, sweet follow-up. Thank you, Daniel, for telling us about that. And maybe if you have a chance to take a picture, that'd be really cool to put on the show notes. We'd love to do that.
Yeah, I just sort of set them up in front of a window because the light coming through is really pretty, and they're beautiful. They're just so beautiful.
Well, that's it. That's all we got for today,
did
or all
it.
the time we've got.
All right. Well, that breezed by.
Thank you for listening to True Tales from Old Houses. Until next time.